In his latest attempt to save his job as Prime Minister, but also the legacy of conservatism, Boris Johnson has announced that he's scrapping the mass NHS testing on the taxpayers. That's the last piece of news I was waiting for the past few weeks, because we have seen, since the Partygate and Cakegate and all the other gates, the Prime Minister and the government have tried their best to fight back and to give us some good news and prove that they want to become conservative again. The last video that I did earlier today was on free speech and the woke culture. They are becoming conservative. They're fighting against that. Good news. They have lifted all the restrictions. Good. And now they are scrapping the mass free NHS testing. And that's the last bit. In terms of the first cost, but in terms of, because it was free, they created a pseudo-mandatory society that a lot of places forced you to do testing. So that's good. Now, some people, the pro-public health measure people, are kicking off. They're not happy at all about this announcement, because they say, well, that means that the government want people to be exposed. They don't care about people dying, and they want just basically vulnerable people will be affected. What? How? On what basis? Firstly, the safety net of the NHS always exists, whether it's blood tests or, of course, with this nonsense, and we have all these things available. If you're vulnerable, if you can't afford it, that's your safety net. The government is simply trying to bring back the old normal and to move away from this new culture that we created, the culture of fear that they actually helped create with the help of the mainstream media for the past 2 years in order to impose lockdown. Now they're saying, well, we need to basically reintroduce the old normal. Partly because of that, partly also because Rishi Sunak has been spending about £15 billion on this. £15 billion. Now the plan is to cut it completely, initially by 95%, 90%. They're going to bring it to £1.5 billion. Now, when you hear £1.5 million on its own, it's crazy numbers, right? But when you compare it to 15 billion, okay, that's good. Well done. Cut. Do it. We don't need this much spending when it comes to these measures and the tests that the NHS are essentially using our money to give to everybody. So until now, we created a new culture where a lot of people are just doing it out of hobby. It's like a hobby. It's like a lifestyle. They wake up, they do a test. They have lunch, they do a test. They come back from work, they do a test. Stop it. If you're really obsessed, then just pay for it. Well, I'm not going to pay for your tests. So if you really got some sort of OCD thing, then fine. You can pay for your own test. And you can get it from Wuhan. They're very cheap from Wuhan. So that's the reality. When you look at the data, you can see that all these people who were having a panic attack over Omicron, and they told us that when cases go up, then by default, everything else will go up too. Firstly, the cases have now collapsed, so that's good news. Secondly, in terms of correlation, or lack of it, basically, at this point, the October, December, January, February, what happened? These are the people who lost their lives. Now, apart from, obviously, the small percentage that also were affected by the annual flu and other airborne viruses as well, that there was no correlation. There was nothing about all these political pundits in the mainstream media who all became medical experts. That's why I didn't really comment at the time, because I'm not going to predict. There's no point in predicting. Even doctors can't predict. It's nonsensical. So, but in reality, it was not as it was seen, because even the South African scientist who discovered this new variant, she was warning us, saying, well, let's not overreact just yet, because there's no evidence that this could be as bad as the original or Delta or any other variant that we had. Let's tell the truth. Let's calm down. And if you want to get a test, if you have OCD, then fine. Pay for it. I'm not paying for it. If you agree with me, leave a comment. Thanks again for watching. I'm Maya TC, and we are the media.